My name is Larry Ness. My wife and I are the regional directors of Independence Caucus. We're here today to conduct an interview of Todd Young, candidate for the Republican Party in the Indiana 9th District, U.S. House of Representatives. Mr. Young has previously taken the 80-question candidate qualification questionnaire on which he scored 100%. Congratulations, Todd.
Thank you.
This interview phase is designed to allow the candidate an opportunity to respond to more open-ended questions than the yes-no format of the questionnaire. The first several questions will be from our steering committee, and then we will have several questions submitted by individual 9th District constituents. To begin, Mr. Young, why don't you take a brief moment to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I welcome this opportunity, and for those that are viewing this on camera, I'd just like to say thank you very much for taking the time and paying the attention to this very important race during such a critical point in time for our country's history. A little about myself. I grew up here in Indiana. I'm a native Hoosier, fifth generation. I had wonderful parents who instilled in me good Hoosier values of hard work and integrity, patriotism, and service. They always emphasized service and giving something back to the community and, where possible, the country. It was that emphasis on service that caused me to enlist in the U.S. Navy out of high school. It was also my desire to jump at the opportunity to attend the U.S. Naval Academy for college. And it was also my desire to serve that upon graduating from Annapolis in '95, caused me to join the U.S. Marine Corps and spend 5 years as an intelligence officer in the Marines. So a full decade in the military of service, and you know, this ethic of service is something I'd like to bring with me to the United States House of Representatives. Since leaving the military in 2000, I spent a couple of years after studying economics on Capitol Hill as an economic policy advisor in the U.S. Senate. And I'll tell you, Larry and Julie, I didn't like everything I saw in the Senate. It seems we've spilled over the bounds of the Constitution far too much. We're spending money we don't have on things we really don't need. And we're passing on all sorts of debt to our children and grandchildren. That said, the experience did give me an opportunity to figure out how to actually get some things done in Congress. And I could bring that experience with me as well, serving as the 9th District representative. I moved back to Indiana, having been gone from my family and friends for about 15 years, and I was real eager, you might imagine, to sort of reconnect, and I did that in recent years. Moving back, getting involved in the business world, spent a few years as a management consultant, which basically meant I advised some businesses, but mostly state and local governments, about how to improve their processes, really how to improve services to citizens. And that would be yet another experience that I'd take with me to Congress. I'd be sensitive to just some of the challenges that the average line worker does experience in government. There's a lot of things we can do to improve efficiencies and save our hard-earned tax dollars and return them to the people. At night I went to law school, and I really never intended to be a practicing attorney. I was very curious about the Constitution. I wanted to learn more about it. And I thought that by attending law school, as painful as it might be, I attended law school at night, which is how I've done most of my schooling, through night school. I learned quite a bit about the Constitution and really the rules of the game, the rules of our federal government in particular. And I met my wife in the course of law school, so rather than going into the family business, we're in HVAC sales. I decided instead to practice law with my wife Jenny down in Orange County. She's a Paoli girl, and we now live in Monroe County, halfway between her parents and mine. I'm a part-time deputy prosecutor, which for me is one way of satisfying my desire to serve. And Jenny and I are very active in our community. You know, this campaign, for me, and you can stop me if you like, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell you why I'm running. Both Jenny and I are real concerned about the direction this country's headed. We have two beautiful little girls, Abby and Ava. We actually, at the time of this taping, are going to have 2 more children in a month. My wife is pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl. And I think we have a real moral obligation not to just preserve the freedoms and opportunities that generations of Americans have enjoyed and some have fought and died for, but we also need to pass these things on to our children and grandchildren. And what I've seen coming out of Washington in recent years in particular, Republican and Democrat, has been absolutely irresponsible. And frankly, I think I can do better.
Very good. I have a follow-up to that, which you've partially answered, as a matter of fact. Following up with that introduction, I would like to, you touched on your experience, the experience part of your background. And, you know, usually when we speak with people about their background, they want to talk about, a lot more personal stuff. You touched on some of that, but if you could explain just briefly how your education, your military service, and your career, how you believe that has prepared you for the office you seek. What accomplishments and skill sets did you acquire?
Sure.
That puts you in a good spot to do that?
Well, you've asked about my education, my professional experiences, and there was another aspect.
Well, and your military service.
In my military service,
yeah.
Sure. Well, there are a number of things to touch on there. You know, I'd start with my education. My education was a non-traditional sort of education. I did go to public schools growing up. That gave me some sense of the sort of schooling the average person gets. Mm-hmm. And frankly, I like to call them the government schools. Mm-hmm. I think we're being shortchanged by government schooling. Still, I managed to have parents that really emphasized the importance of education, so I did bring with me some skills going into the Naval Academy. Now, the Naval Academy was definitely a non-traditional experience. There's a wall around the Naval Academy, and many people believe that wall is to keep outsiders from coming in. I know better. I attended the Naval Academy, and it's not always a fun place to be at, but it's a great place to be from, mm-hmm. and you learn quite a bit about yourself, your country, and what it means to serve going to the Naval Academy. So that ethic of service was instilled in me. I was trained to lead. I was trained in leadership.
Okay.
And what that means from my standpoint is even when you're tempted to do something that is not right, you're trained that leaders do the right thing even when no one's looking. Mm-hmm. And so that's the ethic that I would aspire to. I'm reminded from my experience at the Naval Academy, a military institution, the many sacrifices that people have made, including some of my best friends who have passed away in this war on terror. And we'll never forget that, and my obligation to stay within the bounds of the Constitution. Other educational experiences I've had, I did study economics at the University of Chicago, which doesn't make me any smarter than the average person, but I think it's the best economics program in the country. Many people believe that. And I think it's important during this period of time where our greatest challenges are in many respects economic challenges, to send somebody to Washington who understands economics, and I do. I've studied other things. I studied the law, the Constitution. For our Tea Party folks, I've always, for the last year or so, that this Tea Party movement has really been simmering. I've been pleased about how much Tea Party people, and I'd count myself one of them, have emphasized the importance of getting back to the Constitution and the enumerated powers of the Constitution. I understand the Constitution. It's something I frequently carry around with me. I actually have a copy on me here today. And, you know, that is another thing that our members of Congress need to be familiar with. So there's my education.